happen to the best of us. You've got a great idea for a new invention, a small business, or a long-time passion project. You need the cash to get it off the ground, but for whatever reason, it just doesn't work out. But what if I told you there was a company that could help fund your dreams? If you've ever had a great idea but no real way to get it off the ground, the answer just might be Kickstarter.
Kickstarter is a funding platform for creative projects. It has to be creative, it has to fit into one of our 13 creative categories. Basically how it works is you have an idea, you create a page on our website, you set a funding goal and you give yourself a period of time to reach that funding goal within, and then you tell the world about it. You say, hey, here's the thing I'm really excited about, I'm really passionate about it, I think you'll be excited too. And then people pledge money in support of that project. In exchange for their pledge, they get what we call rewards. And what you learn when you back projects and you support projects, you get involved in people's stories, is that you're becoming a part of the creative process. Perry Chen is an artist, a musician, a very creative guy. In 2001, he was living in New Orleans, and he had the idea to fund a after-hours music event. And then, like many creative people, realizing this is going to cost a lot of money. In his head, in that moment, was born the idea of what if there was a way to engage the people who I think would have shown up at that show? What if there was a website where I could propose my idea and people could pledge their support? Fast forward a few years, when he's back in New York, he meets Yancey Strickler, who's equally excited. They were introduced to the third co-founder, Charles Adler. And the three of them then really shaped this idea into something that could be a creative community and would one day become Kickstarter. The idea wasn't to go big and hard and fast and do this big splash press release kind of launch. It was more about let's nurture this within the creative community and see what it becomes. We were founded in April 2009, and since then we've seen some really incredible numbers. Over 3.3 million people have pledged over $480 million to nearly 90,000 projects on site. Many of those projects are still live, and nearly 36,000 of them have been successfully funded.
One of those successfully funded projects is the Low Line, an underground park on New York City's Lower East Side that will revolutionize urban space as we know it.
The Low Line is a concept for the world's first underground park. In Manhattan, underneath Delancey Street, there's an abandoned trolley terminal. And the Low Line aims to fit that space out with a series of very cutting-edge solar technologies to turn it into an underground green space for the community.
It became clearer and clearer that we needed to raise some money, and this question of how can we go out and raise a little bit of money to move the project forward, to experiment in the ways that we want to experiment with the project, and hopefully to show this thing in a public way. And this was one of our core goals.
With the help of Kickstarter, Dan and James raised over $155,000 in just 10 days, Kickstarter's most funded public design project to date.
We tried to bake into the overall planning for the Kickstarter project a way to connect to the community.
Dan and I kind of set out to do something to make our city a little better, right? And this is a project that does not come from the top down. This is something that comes from the bottom up, and because of that, I think Kickstarter is a fantastic fit.
Another Kickstarter success is hanging in the windows of the American Museum of Natural History as part of a larger exhibit about the world's global food supply. These window farms are vertical hydroponic growing systems that help urban farmers grow fruits and vegetables in their own home, even in wintertime. With the help of more than 1,500 Kickstarter backers, the company raised $257,000.
The window farm is an example of some ways that we think people are going to be growing food in the future, and in fact are growing food now. What's wonderful about the window farms is that it's a way for people to grow in apartments. So many people live in cities, right? 2 billion people live in cities. We don't have access to necessarily land on which we can grow ourselves, but having a window farm allows us to actually grow something and use something that we're going to eat ourselves and be in some very small way self-sufficient, which I think is really exciting. The most important piece of this is it gives people a connection back to growing food.
Another successfully funded project came from a group of 6th graders in Bowling Green, Kentucky, who wanted to capture aerial footage of the Earth's curvature by mounting a GoPro to a GPS-equipped weather balloon, a project called The Edge and Back.
My 5 friends and I plan to take pictures and video of the curvature of the Earth and the blackest space from the stratosphere. We need your help to get the necessary supplies to make this project happen.
After raising $5,100 on the crowdfunding site, the kids got their wish by capturing stunning video from the edge of space, gripping moving images, not unlike those seen in the film Ai Weiwei, Never Sorry, an award-winning documentary about a controversial Chinese artist. It was one of 63 Kickstarter-funded films in 2012, a fact its director Allison Clayman won't soon forget.
Kickstarter has been really great in promoting us, too. I think they're really proud of our project. Something that was really fun was to show up at a film festival or a screening somewhere and have someone wearing one of the Kickstarter t-shirts that we made. And so I really got to meet a lot of Kickstarter fans along the way, and people would come up afterwards. And to have someone come up and tell you, I was a Kickstarter backer, that was the best way to get a hug from me. I mean, it was really cool to kind of meet people and to see that they continue to support the film.
It's always wonderful to be able to connect with people who have passion and ideas. It's amazing to see artists with ideas flourish in the world and flourish because their community cares about them, which is kind of the most incredible thing in the world.
With plans to move into its new offices in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, and to expand into bigger markets across the UK and Europe, there's no telling what'll be next for Kickstarter.